mean? 11.
Friends don't play.
Stop it! You're freaking her out! She's freaking me out! The upside down.
Do you understand what he's talking about?
No. I found the chocolate bunny!
Oh God, please tell me it's not the kid.
I need you to hide!
Mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
Holy shit.
And we're back. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things. And we are hot off the trail of season 2 of Stranger Things. I just saw the trailers for the very first time. And I'm fucking stoked. And you can I doubt he just now saw those trailers. He's just totally trying to make it up so the show sounds cooler. And you can believe that if you want. If your life is devoid of any majesty or magic, that's fine. But it's true.
It is. You should have watched Chris watch those trailers for the first time. He was like a small boy. He was giddy with excitement. He kept snapping his head over at us like, did you go see that?
And they're like, yeah, I've seen that a bunch of times. So, yeah, I typically avoid trailers. I am part of the spoiler-averse culture. I view things unsullied, as Jeff Kanata says. Big fan of that guy. So I try to avoid all promotional work for any property as much as possible and go in blind. But since I'm doing this show for you folks, I wanted to obviously have seen the trailers for the season 1 wrap up, season 2 preview episode, which is what we're doing right now. We're going to wrap up season 1. Just some quick overall thoughts. We did some very deep dives on each episode individually. So we've already pretty much talked about everything there is to talk about as in regards to season 1. We're just going to wrap things up in a nice little bow, like it's a gift to Jonathan Byers from Nancy, and move on to a season 2 preview. Just real quick, if you guys haven't subscribed or rated and reviewed the show by now, please take the time to do so before season 2 kicks in, because we're going to have some serious stiff competition. So if you're a fan of the show and the extra work that we put in, I've listened to other Stranger Things podcasts. They're great. They're wonderful. I'm sure they're very nice people. But I feel like here at Streaming Things, we put a little bit extra. Make it extraordinary. You know, that's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Just a little extra.
A little elbow grease.
And Streaming Things puts that in. 1.5 hours. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We love this show.
Those shows don't have Andy.
Nah, they don't.
They do not.
I think one of them does have a guy named Steve.
I'm kidding. There's one of us everywhere. There are dozens of us.
At least, including one on the show about which we're talking. So, please subscribe, rate, and review. We need some competition. Wrong. We have competition. We need to be the competition.
We need to beat them.
Beat them.
Beat them to the ground.
You, dear listener, can be the Hopper Fist that fists the competition.
Phrasing.
Phrase. You're like Ted of the show. Language. Anywho, so moving right on. Once you've done all that, I'm sure you did it real quickly and we can move in. Overall thoughts for season 1. I can't concentrate after those trailers. But,
right.
Andy, I mean, anything that pops out in general? I guess we should probably lead this discussion a little bit. So, Andy, what was your favorite performance of season 1?
My favorite performance would probably have to be...
You're putting him on the spot. He wasn't ready.
Joyce.
Yeah.
So Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder as Joyce.
The best performance in the show.
I think so. Obviously, like my gut kind of wants to say that Millie Bobby Brown as 11 was the best performance, biggest breakout by far. Mm-hmm. But as far as the one that I think was the most affecting and true to form, like most believable in a way that I think made me reflect on like my parents or my mother rather, and just like, you know, what it could mean to lose a child and like what it would be like to be caught up in the situation where you're so confused. You think you're going mad, but you know, you believe these things and all this stuff's happening around you. And I just think Winona Ryder killed it. She got so much flag after the show came out for going over the top. And I think that she did it exactly the way she needed to make me care about this character. When she toned it back, it made me sit up, made me pay attention. Like my favorite scene in the entire series is her little maternal moment with 11 before 11 goes looking in the in-between for Will. Yeah, so I'd have to say that Winona definitely takes the trophy.
Right on.
She's great.
Steve, what would you say is the best performance of the show?
The best performance of the show, I have to go with Winona as well. Everything that Annie just touched on to a T is she's a star in it. She's great. But to talk about something different, the coolest character in the show is definitely Millie Bobby Brown. She's my favorite character of the whole show, and that a lot of that has to do with Millie Bobby Brown's performance. You talk about it a lot on past episodes. It's just Millie Bobby Brown can convey so many words with just a tilt of her head. Or
And thank God, because they don't give her many.
she has like 4 words, and she can convey so much more with just the slightest movement in her face, and it's so impressive for someone of her age. Not only that she can do that, but that they were able to find her.
Yeah,
that's a next to impossible task, and they did it. And
Well, they sought out the far shores of Britain, which is where you find all great actors.
True. Yeah.
That's been my experience. I cannot believe she's British. I just found that out watching those trailers.
Oh, you
with the
just
little
now
behind
found
it.
that out?
I didn't know.
Wow.
I mean, I should have assumed. She's like, oh, I never really had an ego before, and it's interesting to me.
No syrup.
I've had crumpets, as you might expect.
She's becoming more and more cockney.
Cockney, yeah, I noticed
Hello,
that.
Governor. Hairs on a bobbin, old bunt.
Thank God they took me out of that chimney.
Apologies to any listeners in the UK.
Oh, we have some, and I apologize.
Chris, who was your favorite performer?
My favorite performance, I'm torn. I know I should have thought about this at length
Rip Torn?
beforehand. Rip Torn, which is a very unfortunate name of an actor that stars in Men in Black. And the show Sliders. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
On the Sci-Fi Channel? Anywho, enough about Rip Torn. I want to say Millie Bobby Brown. In fact, I'm going to. But can you guess who I was almost going to say?
Steve.
Jaybird.
Steve of Streaming Things.
Hey, that's me.
Charlie Heaton was a close third because I think he's incredible. Also didn't know he was British. I think David Harbour in the finale really ramped up for me a great deal. It meant a lot to me, and I realized how subtle his performance was. He's obviously playing the cool guy, the hard-nosed detective, the fighter, but there's so much more going on underneath, and I think it had to be difficult. You know, he's constantly dealing with, as an actor, okay, I'm grieving. I'm really fucking drunk. I'm also grieving my daughter. I have lost everything in life that means anything to me, and I'm trying so hard to care about this present and be of use to other people because inherently I am a good person. So he's trying to be a good cop, but most of the petty things are just not able to rouse him from his depressed Xanax slumber, right? So the day-to-day grind of typical Hawkins police work. You know, old Jimmy's boy lost his bike, you know, and he's just like, who gives a fuck, Joe? I mean, seriously? It's 8:30. You know what I mean? Like,
Mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
flow. So that meant a lot to me in that finale, watching his arc and grieving his daughter, Sarah, and how much it meant to him on a personal level to rescue Will and complete that for Joyce, I'm sorry. I just want to say David Harbour, but I just can't. I talk so much about Millie Bobby Brown throughout the first season of Streaming Things that I just think it'd be too much of a Shyamalan for me to say anyone else. Millie Bobby Brown absolutely killed it for
It would
me.
be even more Shyamalan if you were like, my favorite actor was Troy. That kid, really, I felt him pee himself.
Baby Holly.
I felt him.
Baby Holly's a close second.
So, okay, who do you think was the MVP? And just to let you know, I don't want to cheat and pull the rug out from under you guys later. I'm considering cast and crew in this.
So who's the MVP in terms of who is the most responsible for the success of Stranger Things?
I mean, that would probably be an obvious Matt and Ross Duffer. So if we don't phrase it that way, just overall MVP, most valuable player.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown.
So much of the story hinges on a young girl being able to convey all these deep emotions without any real lines of dialogue. And like I mentioned before, it's amazing that they found someone who has the acting caliber that she does, because the show is anchored around her in a way. She connects all the stories together. And if you had someone in that role that wasn't as good as her,
Wasn't her?
that wasn't her, then the whole thing would more than likely fall apart, and it would not succeed.
think the show would have worked, but 11 is a cultural icon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I predict that decades from now, if someone shaves their fucking head, puts on a pink dress, and puts a little blood in their nostril, well, they might just look like a crackhead. But I think
People will get the
they're
reference.
going to say, 11! Fuck yeah! You know what I mean? Like, for decades. And that is Millie Bobby Brown, in my opinion. So I totally support that for sure. Andy, who would you give the MVP to?
Ted.
Ted.
And he just made us reflect so much on what it means to be an absentee father. It made me look deep down into myself and think about, for my future children, am I going to be a Ted?
Will I finish the popcorn?
Will I finish the popcorn? Do I care about the language? No, I'm going to have to go with Millie B.
Millie B.
Millie BB.
Millie BB.
For the MVP, absolutely. Like you said, she's an iconic character now, and that's entirely because of her performance. I don't think that anyone else could have pulled it off the way that she did. It's just something that really sticks with you, and she nailed it. It couldn't have been anybody else. What about you?
Honestly, I'm going to have to go with the editing team of Stranger Things.
Unsung heroes.
The unsung heroes.
They don't all wear capes.
The direction's phenomenal. The writing, the Duffer Brothers have been working on this story for their most of their adult lives. I mean, it's almost flawless. There's so much character work and arcs and all of the homage, and yet they've become something fresh and new with this story. It's amazing. But I was just constantly amazed at the tiny nuances that were put into place from the editing team. Just in the finale, we didn't talk about it because we had so much to talk about, and it was like an almost 2-hour episode, and we still missed a bunch of things that I wanted to go over. But I remember, I forget quite what it was, but there was some rapid fire machine guns in 2 different places. Mm-hmm. I forget where the second place was happening.
When they were shooting at the Demogorgon in the school?
There was that, but it was like maybe the gunfire from Nancy. They cut on gunfire to a certain point when it was separate gunfire that it led into. And it's just not always easy to do that. It's, we've made films, and you say what you want about them, but we know a bit about how much the struggle is real. And they're just flawlessly able to integrate this sound design and these match cuts and it doesn't distract from the story. It's only on a second watch that I was just starting to see this, look at the seams, and I had to dig deep into this fabric to find any seams, and I'm just so impressed. The flashbacks I talked about at great length, where to place those and the kind of information that they had. I just could not be more impressed with the editing on this. So I did some digging. The editors, Kevin D. Ross was the editor on all 8 episodes, but he had some help from Dean Zimmerman, who helped on 4 of the episodes, Nat Fuller, who helped on 4 of the episodes, which is probably an assistant editor.
Sure.
One on the first 4 and one on the second 4, maybe, or just interspersed. And then
Dream job.
Catherine Naranjo was on, given credit for editing. Oh, I'm sorry. So sorry. So sorry. Kevin D. Ross, Gomen Nasai. Kevin D. Ross did 8 episodes from 2016 to 2017. Dean Zimmerman did, so maybe season 1 was just Dean Zimmerman and Kevin, and then Catherine and Nat helped on season 2 because they were only given 2017 credits. So I apologize.
Oh, okay.
We have yet to see your work, Nat.
Let's see if you can fill those shoes.
Yeah, you got shit on Dean. So thank you so much to the editors. I don't know. I know that's random and a bit hokey, but I just could not be more impressed with editing. Never felt that way about a show before. Like, the editing. Oh my God.
As a person who wants to be an editor,
sure,
I'm so glad you've given them their due.
High five, Steve.
I didn't even
So
give them
as you probably know a great deal more, I mean, you do a lot of physical editing. What did you think about the editing in Stranger Things?
Oh, it's fantastic. Like you put they're able to use the sound design to kind of lead into transitions using sound. They do a lot of sometimes they do a lot of cute, fun cuts.
Sure.
It's just great all around, and it looks great. It's a great looking show, and there was never really a point where it seemed to drag. A lot of the good sign of good editing is not only that you make the performers look great, but also that the flow of the show or film doesn't seem
Not literally the character flow.
No, not literally flow, but the flow of the show or film doesn't seem to drag. It like 20 minutes will seem like 2. That's the show to a T. Because we watch 8 episodes and I'm still kind of like, that was it? I want more.
Oh, totally. I remember a meme going around when season 1 first ended. It was Tyrone from the Dave Chappelle show, the crackhead character.
Oh, yeah.
And
Goddamn.
Y'all got any more of those Stranger Things episodes? You know, it was just, that was the meme. And everybody knew, like, it went viral because that's how everybody felt.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Millie Bobby Brown, you crazy.
Yeah, totally awesome. So any unanswered questions from season 1? Obviously, they alluded to them in the meta Dungeons and Dragons game, the big ones, like what the fuck was Hopper doing in the car? And where is 11? Because we all assume she was not dead. So anything other than that, I guess?
What's up with William?
Yeah.
Sure.
What's going on?
Why'd
with
he be puking?
I want to know why we only ever saw the one monster from the Upside Down. Like, it's a whole
Seems
alternate
a vast place.
Yeah, it's a whole alternate dimension, you know, and it's at least as big as Hawkins, and there's just the one of it,
Right.
You know, so
Did you guys ever read? I know they made a movie, but I haven't seen it. But did you ever see Stephen King's The Langoliers? Or read it?
I never read it. No.
Where like it's a plane of people end up. I think they like end up going through some sort of portal somehow in an airplane, and below them the world's going dark because monsters are like literally eating the reality, and that's how like each day changes. A day will happen, and then that world, that little slice of that day, is like in limbo for a little bit until monsters eat it, and that's how time is consumed essentially.
And that makes it real time?
Well, like if it's not in the present, it's in this alternate reality that's being eaten by monsters, so that
Okay.
there's only like what's present.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if maybe the Upside Down could be something like that, maybe, because I know there's a lot of references to Stephen King
Sure.
novels. So
That would
maybe
be
interesting.
That'd be a bit much.
maybe like the vines that it seems that the Demogorgon like is so associated with is like consuming the world.
It
type
almost
thing.
looked like in the trailer there was like a World of Worlds size monster there.
yeah.
And I don't know what's going on with that.
I'm calling it the Tessel Hydra.
That's
Hydra.
totally true. The Tessel Hydra.
Yeah.
Because when the kids are playing the Dungeons and Dragons game at the very end of season 1, they have the big monster moment reveal when they run into it, and Will defeats it immediately in this version. But it's no longer the Demogorgon; it's the Tessel Hydra. So that's what I'm going to call that, even if they don't do it in the show.
I'm sure they will.
I hope so.
Calling it now. Meow. Okay, I don't really have any other the eggs in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
How many Demogorgons are there? Demogorgi? I'm not sure what the plural of Demogorgon is.
What are the extent of 11's powers?
Yeah, I mean, apparently she's alive. Because by the way, to remind you, I just now saw the trailer that was probably released, the first one, like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, June, I think. So yeah, I just now saw it. So to see 11's alive body sticking through her arm through the portal, coming back to the school, I just almost clapped. I may have actually clapped.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
you did.
I did actually clap.
You did clap.
Okay. So happy. I mean, I knew she wasn't dead, but because I'd seen interviews with Millie Bobby, like, yeah, it was great filming season 2. Or I'm sorry, filming season 2. AV Club. She was offset. Like, that's not how they. Anyway, yeah, very stoked to see that. But yes, where did she go? Why did she disintegrate? You know, I still have these questions. I mean, you remember how season 1 started, it kept the audience very much in the dark, which was just so artfully done. It is so hard to tell a story that complex, especially a supernatural one where you have to establish a new universe of laws without just straight exposition. It's very difficult. And I can't think of any other story offhand. I'm sure there's been dozens and dozens that have done it this well. The only one that comes to mind is The Matrix. which is, I think, canon is one of the best movies of all time from a storytelling perspective, at least the first Matrix.
Yeah.
And if you recall your first viewing, it's hard to think back to 1999. You know, I was 11.
Oh shit!
But you don't know what the fuck is going on for a great portion of that movie. You know what I mean?
It's very philosophical and
yeah.
kind of like, what is life? What is
Well, and
the
it's just
world?
like guy on a cell phone, robot thing in his stomach.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You know,
His like mouth melts into
like
no mouth.
You don't know what's real. And anyway, that's how I felt through the first 4 or 5 episodes of Stranger Things, and it just all organically becomes known to you, and that is hallmark of perfect storytelling.
Yeah, when I first started watching Stranger Things, I had only started watching maybe a week after it had released, and I only started watching because people said, A, it's really good, and B, do you like the 80s?
Right.
And so that's literally all I knew going into the show, was that there was 80s kids and weird shit happened in a town. It could have been like Halloween Town or whatever that NBC show was.
Halloween? No, that's the Disney original movie, right?
Yeah, Disney original movie.
Yeah, I fucking love that movie.
It could have been Halloween Town for all I knew, you know? But
Yeah.
I started watching it and it was not at all what I was expecting, but I loved it.
I didn't even like the 80s. I didn't think I did. I'm not a huge fan of 80s music, even though I was born in the 80s. More of a 90s type kid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I learned something funny today. Sorry, a little tangent here. Apparently, British people refer to the early aughts, like 2000, 2009, as the naughties.
That's awesome.
Isn't that hysterical?
That's way cooler than the aughts.
The aughts. Sick aughts joke.
Sick aughts joke, bro.
Sick naughties joke.
naughties.
That's awesome. So yeah, those are the only lingering questions.
I have
more
a pretty
rules of
big
the
one.
Upside Down. Sure.
What the fuck happened to 1 through 10? That's kind of one of my theories for season 2, is that we might get a glimpse at
Ooh, like an evil
11. We're gonna get to see 9 or whoever.
It'll probably
you know?
be a little more distant, like
It would
6.
be 7 because 7 literally ate 9.
And when they hung out, they'd be a 7-Eleven. Thank you. Come again.
I would be so sad if that turns out to be an actual plot line.
That's 7, 8, 9. I doubt
No,
it.
that like this is 7 and 11.
You don't think it'd be
7-11.
cool? Oh yeah. It is interesting in that they'd be so much older though. If it was especially like a 3.
There was an interesting line when Dr. Brenner first confronts Joyce in the finale of this. I believe he walks up to her and he goes, 6. 6. 6 people have died, yada yada. But just like the emphasis that he puts on 6, I was sitting there like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Joyce is 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11 came around. Now that's almost guaranteed to not be the case, but I thought,
Joyce was 6.
yeah, like I thought that would
Why
be
don't
fun.
you remember
Fucked up.
me 6? We had lots of long talks.
And that's why she's so cry.
6.
I never did say too, not to knock Winona, but the reason I don't give the trophy to Winona, I think she is not the most stable person in real life.
She's not acting.
So I don't know how much
That's
of
her.
the nervous disposition. If you remember when the first award season year, it was a speech that I think David Harbour gave.
Yes.
It's famously her nonsensical reactions
Yes.
in the background. Dude, that's fucking Joyce. Like,
Someone took that video and they had like a piece of pizza that was floating
Yeah.
around and it looked like she's like, what? She's like following it with her eyes.
Yeah.
It was the most
it was
amazing thing ever.
So just stuff like that. I know she's a phenomenal actress. I just, you know what I mean? That's what just takes it from me. It's like, I don't know how much of a stretch that was for her. Anywho, not going to defend the Millie Crown. It needs no defense. I forget what led me into the Winona factor from Andy's statement. Oh, the 6. Some things we could just talk about. Some things that stood out from the trailer. Some season 2 predictions. We talked about on the finale that Dr. Brenner, they left room for him to be alive. What was the big thing I figured out that everybody already knew because they'd seen the trailers months ago? That I thought it was a big thing on the
That
finale.
Hopper knows that 11 is alive. That's why he's feeding and putting food in the box.
Hopper knows 11's alive. That's why he's putting the Eggos in the box. And we saw that in the second trailer that was released recently. 11's got the most adorable little winter hat.
She's got hair.
Little
It's
flannel.
curly hair.
She's got a Jerry curl or something.
love it.
Yeah.
It's like a little afro. But no, I just love that little hat, and she's just living outside. Like, it's cold out here, but I got my Eggos. It'd be super funny if she was like a teenager now. Like, Eggos, fuck yeah.
I want to know like what the timeline
I'm
is.
gonna put this on Snapchat.
Well, it says 1 year later, I think.
Well, yeah, but that particular shot.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's clearly not in the upside down,
Right.
When she
It's
opens
after
the
she
box.
breaks through the portal.
So, like, I guess they're implying that that's immediately after she breaks out of the portal and goes back to the real
Where'd
world.
she get the hat then?
Well, the
Where did she get the
trailers,
hat?
the trailers got some shots where it's pretty clearly that's immediately after the final confrontation
Yeah.
with the Demogorgon. Like, she's still standing in the classroom. Her hair is still very short, but now she's in the classroom version with all of the
the upside down
infection
version.
stuff around her. And so I think that like her storyline is going to pick up immediately where it left off, and then move forward probably like 2 years later or whatever. 'cause
She's been
all of-
surviving in the woods, is what.
or she's at the lab or something. I don't know.
Well,
But
Sean Levy, the producer, was saying that it was a year later is when the story took place.
all those kids hit puberty in that year.
Yeah,
So it's
there's only so
funny.
much they can do with child actors. Yeah, Finn Wolfhard's balls dropped majorly.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
11. I went to the snowball alone. It's cool though.
Do you think that it'll be one of those situations where Eleven's not present in the show for
3 episodes.
3 or 4 episodes?
It's possible.
Three
Very,
at
very
most.
possible.
Like she's like the quote unquote mid-season bump.
Or it'd be
Is her
cool
coming
if they
back?
had a little throwback and she came at the end of the pilot, the first episode, just like in the original show. And just at the very end where they run into her in the rain, you know what I mean? And she's just got that hat and an Eggo in her mouth, like, oh, hey guys.
Friends don't lie.
Yeah. Friends don't lie. Thanks for the food. That was Hopper. So yeah, there's the box, the Eggo box, left out for 11. One thing I noticed, that's what I got really excited about, and I think you misread my excitement, Steve. So I saw Joyce with the longer hair. She's lost the haircut, which was apparently an allusion to a character in a different movie. I forget. Andy called out that Eggo.
Her hair?
Yeah, Joyce's hair was made to look like an actress from one of the movies that it references. Anywho,
I don't recall.
that would have been a lot cooler if I remembered.
White chicks.
Reference episode 2 of Streaming Things if you want that little tidbit. No, so she's got the longer hair and she's in Scrubs, it looks like, right?
Yeah.
You know what that reminded me of?
Scrubs?
Terminator 2 when Linda Hamilton is in the hospital chain smoking at the beginning after all
yeah.
the crazy
Oh,
events
nice.
of Terminator 1, and now she's a badass and nobody believes her. That's what, and then the very next scene, right as I was about to pause it and tell Steve that's a Terminator 2 Eggo calling it now, the voiceover goes, "It's Judgment Day," and I was like, "Oh!" Which, of course, everyone knows T2 Judgment Day.
We're gonna obviously get a whole slew of new Eggos.
Ghostbusters is obvious.
Ghostbusters is obvious. Terminator. There's an obvious Close Encounters of the Third Kind homage with Will opening the door. Yeah, you mentioned the alien looks kind of like the monster looks like a tripod from War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a 1950s reference.
Yeah.
Or the remake with Tom Cruise and the aughts.
Yeah. The aughts.
The naughties.
And the
The
naughties.
naughties. So I'm excited to see the different Eggos, and also there was correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm getting a very distinct Warriors vibe on some of the
Oh,
shots.
for sure.
Oh yeah.
I can dig
Which
it.
I am so excited about seeing a Steve-led Warriors gang.
Oh, the Steve shot. We got to talk about that.
His
Now,
hair is so much stevier, dude.
He was
I love
so
it.
Tom Cruisey too with the.
Oh, we had the shades on in the party?
In the party, he's like, yeah. But then Dustin's like, "Do you got the bat? The one with the nails?" And he's like, "What bat? Oh, this one." And he's got the Tarantino trunk shot.
Yep.
That was super dope. Yeah, I'm so excited. I cannot stand my excitement that I have to wait another. As we're recording this, it is Tuesday evening. I'm in trouble at my day job, and I need to wait 3 more days for season 2. So, for those that didn't listen to the finale, pause the podcast, go do that. It was a really fun show, bro.
Good stuff,
Or
bro.
lady. We are going to meet up at 3 a.m. because it's Eastern time zone here in the US of A. And we're going to watch season 2 together. Any more things you noticed? It was a lot thrown at me, I know, from the trailer. I've only seen it the one time about 10 minutes ago. So
I liked some big names. The trailer shows Paul Reiser and Sean Astin running around.
Yeah.
It looks like Sean Astin is hugging Joyce, so I'm wondering, like, oh.
She's a love interest for him.
Is it?
Wait. He's a love interest for her. There we go.
So I'm excited because I love me some Sean Astin.
Yeah.
I love me some Paul Reiser.
Cannot say enough about how much I love Sean Astin. I mean, Samwise Gamgee, Rudy. Am I right? Am I right?
Goonies.
Goon
Let
Goons?
me carry it for you, Mr. Frodo.
Yeah, I wonder if Feldman's going to make an appearance somewhere. And
Corey?
maybe in the Upside Down. Yeah. He's the new Demogorgon. Just
That'd be
no
great.
makeup.
It just looks so good. I mean,
Corey Feldman?
Oh yeah, you know.
Oh, season 2 looks so
Season
good.
2 looks so good.
I read something interesting, and I've tried to stay away from all inside info. So I've read no reviews or any kind of set spoilers or anything. One fun tidbit we did talk about before that I think that Finn Wolfhard, after filming it, they had to get him to stop dropping F-bombs on the set of Stranger Things. I think we talked about that. It was super funny. I can just imagine 11. What the fuck? Whoa, cut. Whoa, Finn, your mic, oh, my bad. That the Duffer Brothers were nervous. I forget. They were on another podcast, I think of a fellow filmmakers. And he just point blank asked them, so the extreme success of Steven season 1, which is considered one of the best shows of all time, are you nervous about the reception of season 2 and being able to follow that up?
No.
And they're like, fuck yeah. We worked our entire lives on season 1 and we had a year to come up with a story and shoot season 2. So them phrasing it that way, it's almost like, oh yeah, there's like no fucking way it would be anywhere near as good, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are you worried?
There's one key thing that I'm worried about, and that is Will Byers.
Because he didn't have to do much and he might suck.
He didn't have to do much in the first season, and if I'm being honest, out of the 4 kids, he's the one that stuck out to me as the least qualified.
Do you think so, or just because you weren't able to endear yourself to him?
I mean, it could be that, but there were a couple times where he like delivered a line, and I'm like, that's a child actor doing child acting things.
Well, he had the most. I'm going to defend Will a little bit here. He had the hardest role. He had to play like terrified, haven't drank water in 6 days. Kids don't know what that feels like until you get to your college years. Bazinga. And he had all these emotive, sincere moments because he was supposed to play like this overly perfect kid that, like Andy pointed out, works great in episode 1. Like, oh, I care about this missing kid. Episode 8, it's like, okay, he's super cool. I get it.
We got it, guys.
You know what I mean? And where the rest of them would get these funny. Because I'll be honest, what's his name?
Gadden Maserato?
Yeah, Gadden Maserato, and who plays Lucas?
I do know.
Lucas is played by Caleb McLaughlin.
Oh, that's right.
They're not great. I mean, they're great, but I mean, they're not perfect, is what I should have said. They're not perfect. I can see the seams. I can see that they're fucking 12 many times throughout the show. Finn Wolfhard, even, his career is blown up. And he's incredible.
Yeah.
Because he plays that asshole.
he's
But
the
when he's-
best character in it.
When he's sincere in Stranger Things, he's got some work to do, you know?
Yeah.
I will say that from what we've seen of the trailers for season 2, Will looks like he does a really good job. Like he's real teary eyed.
That crazy, cry scene looked great.
He's like, I'm seeing these things everywhere, and like,
Do you think that was a Sixth Sense? I got a hard Sixth Sense vibe in that scene. I just see dead people.
Demogorgon people.
Haley Joel Osment pops up out of nowhere.
He's all,
Me too.
Wow. It's not that I don't think that he's
I totally get what you're
up
saying.
to the
You're
task.
right.
I'm just concerned about it because it looks like he goes from not having a lot of screen time in season 1 to having a lot
To being
of
like the main
the
character,
focal point. Yeah, at least
Sure.
for the first half.
Yeah.
What if 11 gets with Will? She's never met him. She's like, oh my God, he's hot.
What if he's like, oh my God, he's such a nice guy, and He's seen the Upside Down. I'm like, hey, you remember those slugs in Barb's mouth? And he'd be like, do I?
Here's one.
Here's one for you. It's named Gary.
Oh, we're not allowed to name things, Steve. Remember Marcy and Lucy?
Who's Marcy?
Nice. Andy, what do you have any concerns for season 2?
That it's gonna be over when I finish watching it.
Right.
No, I'm so stoked on it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like Steve said, the cultural references, get some fresh ones. It looks incredible. I think they probably had a little bit of a bigger budget.
Yeah,
which
for
everything
sure.
looked great for season 1. They had a fairly large budget. I think it was 15 million or something.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, I think I have it written down from our episode 1 notes. I don't. Any Hoosley. So there's that, and so the goo is probably going to look great this time.
Right.
The goo.
The wall goo that
goo's
she
gonna
was
look
coming
good.
through looked great. So very stoked. Don't have any overt concerns. I'm excited to see what they use that budget on soundtrack wise. I might know some things instead of just Steve this time. Oh, Eddie and the Lizard Men. That's my favorite track.
Maybe
says
they'll
Steve.
finally put Jefferson Airplane on
That
there.
would be so great. That would be great. Which one? No, they did put Jefferson Airplane. They didn't put Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's got to be Fleetwood Mac this time. Just the whole Rumors
What about
album.
Jefferson Starship?
Yeah.
What are our thoughts
That would
on
have been more
Jefferson
appropriate.
Starship?
I feel like that was their 80s incarnation. So yeah, we here at Streaming Things are extremely excited for season 2, and we're extremely excited to do the recap with you guys right afterwards. So we're going to try to follow right along. We're not going to have anything to read as far as Easter egos to steal from, any people's interpretations, because we're going to binge and record as much as we can and still keep our lives together. So we're going to need your help. So again, not to hammer this home like Steve with the nails into his bat too much, but we really need you to share this. Tell your friends about us. Share it on the Twitter, the Twatter, the Tumblrs, whatever you kids are doing these days. And subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.
Let us know if there's something we should change for season 2.
How are you liking it? Are we laughing too much? Too many dick jokes? Not enough? I don't know. Can't tell.
I mean, last episode, everything was dicks.
Yeah, that's true. It was upsetting even to me.
It's a hack job of an edit for Steve, for sure.
Speaking of hack jobs and dicks, what's her name?
Barb.
Wow. So yeah. Also, do want to mention real quick, just in case you forgot, there is a contest currently going on. If you take a screenshot of your subscribing, rating, and reviewing action and send it to streamingthingspod@gmail.com, you are entered automatically to win a $100 Amazon gift card from us here at Streaming Things. And we will end that contest on November the 1st and choose randomly from those that have done that. So if you want to be involved in that, I suggest you just do it because it takes like 3 minutes. That'd be the quickest $100 you ever made in your life. 3 minutes, $100.
300 bones.
I'm not. Wait, what? No, it's 100 bones.
300.
So 3 minutes, $100. How many minutes? Okay, that's like 60 divided by 3 is 20.
6,000 greenbacks.
20 times 100. That's like $2,000 an hour. Quit making up denominations and confusing them. It's 100 USD. I don't know how
$1 million.
many Bitcoin that is for you nerdy kids.
0.0001.
For you less athletic types, as the principal of Hawkins would say.
100.
Thanks, Steve.
Keeping it 100.
So we're looking forward to seeing you in a few days when season 2 drops. Thank you so much for joining us throughout this giant endeavor. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this has been